Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
There's a statistic, a big one, that immigrants that come to America turn out being more successful than the people that are native born. And today's guest, Grom Tuxen, is no exception. The man came here, I would imagine, in his 20s. Is that about right? Yeah.
That's right.
And when you have that interest in adventure, and have the willingness before you've got 17 children and all these responsibilities where you can take a risk to look after or look into your dream. And Grom, welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, because you've got a best-selling book and you've got a great story. And it's the typical American dream story where you come to this promised land, but you didn't come from poverty. You came from Denmark. I mean, where's your axe, man?
It's in the closet. You know, I can't be walking around the streets with it. Scares people.
Well, probably. I mean, you could put your Norse hat on and be a true Viking. You've got that in your blood.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Well, tell us what happened. I mean, we had a little bit of pre-chat before we hit the record button, and you've got your book proudly displayed there, which is now a bestseller, #1 bestseller. And it's about your not just your story, because those can get boring. People think, oh, it's a story. But you've also embraced the stories of helping other people in your book.
Yeah. Yes.
What's your favorite?
Pardon?
What's your favorite story?
In the book, or?
Yes. Well, you could say in life. I mean, you could talk about
in life. Well, I think my favorite story goes back to when I was an exchange student, because that's what started it all.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, so I was an exchange student, 75, 76, and I was sent to Memphis, Tennessee, of all places, right? And you know, my parents' encyclopedia, which is a little dated because I don't think Lindbergh had flown the Atlantic yet. So the information about Memphis was, you know, rather disturbing when I read that. But I got sent to Memphis, and I got thrown into something where I had absolutely no frame of reference. I thought I knew what America was. Everybody thinks they know what America is, especially people that are not here. And it's like, well, I've been to New York, I've been to Florida, I've been to Los Angeles or something, and they think that's America. Well, America's a lot of things other than a tourist experience. So, you know, I got thrown in with a host family that had German Shepherd, no kids, and then I was going to high school. So I graduated high school in Memphis, Tennessee. I got some amazing friends out of that, and I just absolutely fell in love with America during that period. You know, my dad was born in Esco, Minnesota. My grandfather immigrated in 1928. Excellent timing. By 32, he was on the boat back. You know, with paid for by his mother with $300 he had borrowed, and my dad was a few months old at the time. So his twin brother later joined the U.S. military. So there was always this connection with the U.S. and the family. And that sort of felt like, at least the story, and like you said, the excitement, right? That I had to go test it out. We had just been through a severe traffic accident at the time that almost killed my whole family. And I was 16 years old. And it was one of those reset periods where I go, I need to get out of here. I need to do something totally different. So,
were you from Copenhagen or a smaller city?
I was born in Copenhagen and raised in a little town called Jyderup, just about 60 kilometers west of Copenhagen. So, small town, 3,000 people, you know, out in the country. So this whole thing about going to America back in the day, people thought I'd lost my mind. You know, of course, that was way before the internet and anything else, right? So they got written up in the local paper that I was going to America. So that became a very formative thing. I mean, at the end of that exchange relationship, I felt like I came back to the wrong place and didn't want to leave. And it sustained my friendships, and some of my friends came over and visited in Denmark, and finished my education in Denmark with a clear purpose that I wanted to come back permanently to the United States.
Well, your dad is technically American if he was born
here.
here.
He was American. Yes, he was born here. Yeah.
Well, then you had a right to live in America anyway. I mean,
yeah. He could file a petition for me. You know, my wife, who's also Danish, was a different deal. You know, because she came. I knew that I was going to come here and stay, right? Because this was just me. I felt like I could see where all the possibilities were, and there were no lack of opportunity, and I was just all excited about it. So when we met, I told her I'm immigrating to America, and of course she thought I had lost my mind, but no, that it turned out that way. So she came over for a period of time before we got married, and then of course the whole immigration thing. One thing led to another, but you know, heck, we've been married for 41 years now, so it turned out pretty good.
Okay, I got to ask an off-topic question, because that in itself, I lasted 11 in my marriage.
Yeah.
How did you survive? How have you put together 41 years of marriage? That in itself is commendable, and I think you deserve a second badge, you know, gold star or something. 41 years. What kept that together? Because it's so common to be divorced. It's statistically.
I think the fact that this was a shared journey.
Okay.
I mean, she knew nothing about America, right? So in the early days, I was sort of having to be the one that showed around, but then she took it like, you know, fish to water. And today she's as American as any American. She's got her own business. You know, she runs a ladies' fashion store here in town that she's been running for 25 years. And she's an entrepreneur in her own right. So we found common interest and common purpose in the American dream, not just for me as a provider, but for her as a participant. And I think that's oftentimes where it goes wrong in marriages, is that, you know, everybody's looking for the marriage to fulfill everything, and it doesn't work out that way. Where what we've managed to do over the years is find parallel paths, if you will, but, you know, with our own execution and with a great deal of respect for, you know, okay, this is what I do over here, and that's what you do over there, and we can talk about it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we would do it the same way. So,
well, you mentioned some words that are, because this is a parallel to relationships. You know, some are romantic, in your case, married, and as a family person. But you mentioned shared values.
Yeah.
Shared dreams, essentially, because she wanted to come to America with you, and the R word, respect, mutual respect. Without that, the foundation crumbles.
It does.
In any relationship.
And you know, 41 years is a long time. You know, you're bound to run into some struggles here and there, but it's all about how you get on the other side of them, right? And so and that is about mutual respect and looking into the future, and you know, I guess we're both pretty persistent people. You know, we're not we don't let go of things easy. You know, I mean, it's so you know, we share that. Maybe that's a Viking thing. I don't know.
Well, it could be. Well, she's got Viking blood in her as well, right? If she's Danish, did she speak English or not?
School English, but not enough to get around at all. I mean, she pretty much was thrown straight into it. And I had a job. I was, started with this Danish furniture company, set up a subsidiary in the U.S. for them after my graduate study. And she had no exposure. And so the first, few months she was here, she would drive around with me. And I was driving in 7 states, so she would come along. And so she got to see the country. And then other times she would be staying back in Racine. And eventually she, got to help out at a school in the art department and stuff like that, and started building her own relationships. And that's what really, made it take off, is that she started to feel like.
See, that's a great immigrant story. because at least you spoke English because you had been an exchange student, so you had that
Yes.
advantage. Now, I would
Yeah.
imagine I don't know, how old were you when you came here originally?
17.
17. Okay, so you were 17, and at that time you had to you might have had an accent a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and wasn't at all aware the American grammar and there's a lot of everything was new, and yeah, I had an accent, no question about it. So
Not anymore, but you see, that's
no,
rare, because
yeah,
if someone comes into it, this is the interesting aspect of foreign language. If you're a foreign speaker and it's not your native language, after the age of 14, it's very hard to lose that accent. I would not
yeah,
detect that you're Danish other than your
right,
name. I mean, it's
right,
clearly not
yeah,
Irish,
yeah, yeah, that's true.
not O'Connell,
No, not a problem.
not George O'Connell, so.
No, maybe it's the same beer drinking habits, but other
Yeah,
than
well,
that,
something, but yeah, it definitely sounds Viking, or
yeah,
there. But so you've
yeah,
got this immigrant story and this entrepreneur journey that you've
yeah,
been on. Since what
yeah,
age did you decide to give up being a clock puncher, so to speak,
yeah.
to, okay, Gorm is going to start his own enterprise?
It was my aspiration from the very beginning, before I ever
Okay.
got here.
Okay.
I had to find a life raft to get me over here. That was the
Sure.
whole thing.
Sure.
So I had two bosses at this furniture company that eventually became partners in the furniture store, and they left the company that I originally signed on with and started up another enterprise in the same business, and we had made a lot of people a lot of money, and we thought they said, well, they were interested in maybe investing in furniture stores in the U.S. And I said, well, so am I. And we threw together, and they helped get us some product, and we were basically putting in the sweat equity and running the store and doing all that. So it took like 3 or 4 years, and I was basically from being an employee to being self-employed with a couple of partners. So it was always my ambition to do that. And then I had some years in corporate, which was a whole different deal. But I actually managed to make my way up in the division of Dover Corporation. But I also learned that wasn't me. It sort of validated why I wanted to be independent. I just didn't fit in that environment. I mean, it's just I couldn't do the politics and everything associated with that. I mean, I could do the work for sure, and we were very successful, but I didn't find the gratification in it. So I think the biggest thing with being an entrepreneur is that you're passionate and you want to be independent, right? You don't want to be told what to do. You're willing to take the risk, pay the price. You don't have anybody to blame for it other than yourself. And if you learn the lesson, that's great. You're one step further. And if you don't, shame on you, because you're going to have to learn it again. So.
So true. So true. And what would you say to somebody that is 22? They've just graduated college. Would you urge them into entrepreneurship, or should they cut their teeth on working for somebody for a bit to learn what not to do or what to do? I mentioned both ends of the spectrum there. Yeah.
So I'm very big on mentoring, but to be a good mentor, you have to be a good student, right?
Correct.
So what I see,
words.
what I see a lot of young people do is they think they can go to college and then they can get a degree in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is not a degree; it's an attitude.
I agree. Oh, yeah.
So I mean,
mindset.
And so it's mindset. So you're apt to go to a university that tells you the whole story about how you go raise money. The fact of the matter is nobody's going to invest in you unless you got something that's worthwhile, and you're going to have to prove it first. So quit with the ambitions about becoming the next Elon Musk overnight, but look at it as a mission. What makes you happy? Now, you have to pay the pirates, and What you're looking for are mentors that can help move you forward. Those are easily found if you just want to be a student. The problem is a lot of students, when they come out of school, think they're done learning. They got a diploma. I mean, I'm a trustee at Drury University here in our area, and I see it again and again. It's like, well, I got a diploma. I got to go out. How much money can I make? Well, I don't know. What difference are you going to make? I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to pay it forward, or are you more interested in, I give you a number. When we interview here and we have young people coming in, that's one of my sorting criteria is if we're just talking about the size of the paycheck, it'll be a short conversation. If we're talking about what you get excited about and what you could be passionate about, and whether you think this is the environment for you where you could find that, then I'm glad to help teach you.
Sure.
And everyone here will be happy to invest in you, even if you don't stay with us. It's okay, I think if you want to understand that that's available, and two, commit yourself to finding that, you're on a much better path to doing something, because it's all about continual learning all the time. So,
well, and you mentioned that mentorship component. Is that gratifying to you, or is
that's the biggest thing? I mean, I tell you what, there's no amount of money in the bank that can make you as happy as seeing what other people can do with what you taught them. It's mind-boggling, and that's, again, a lot of times we tend to value success just in monetary terms. Well, you're not I don't see anybody being very successful with that if that's their measure. But did you make a difference? And you don't have to be told that you made a difference, because you could see it yourself. And that is like, a God-given gift that you're turning over and making better for somebody. There is nothing more gratifying than being a mentor, no question about it.
Yeah, and seeing other people, there's that. I think it took a pivot for me at around 40, where it wasn't so much about me as much how much of an imprint I can leave, and start thinking legacy. And that's a little bit of ego, but it's also self-validation of, I did make a difference here. And it's more than a tombstone. Maybe I am able to affect other people than just an inscription on a tombstone.
Yeah, exactly. And our time frame is about the same. I'd say my time frame was right there in the 40s. I was coming out of my corporate career. I was done with corporate. I wanted to seek out my independence again. Another one of these resets. I took this was right after 9/11, and I took the family, put them in a car. My daughter was 2 years old at the time, and we drove down to Disney World. It was easy to get in because there was nobody there, And I just again took one of these. Okay. Reset. I have no clue what I'm going to do other than I want to find independence again, and then I thought, well, security has got to be where the action is going to be, because obviously we didn't have enough of that, and that sort of led me to the next engagement, getting into the whole security technology business, and everything that I've been doing done there over the years. So.
What an interesting pivot! I mean, from making furniture to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
What do you have a technical background? Were you an engineering student?
I have a technical aptitude. I love putting things together. When I was a kid, Legos was my thing, and I was always been a dreamer. So I would sit in class. I couldn't figure out math because I couldn't see what the relevance was. It was just all a number of gymnastics. But had they told me I could figure out exactly how I could make two motors on a Lego train go through a turn without breaking the rails, I would have really paid attention, because I tried hard to figure that out, but I didn't have the tools to do it. So I've always had that thing about putting things together, right? So
curiosity,
exactly. So it was never really about the furniture. The furniture was, my dad was a master carpenter. It was a natural progression to start there. But in the back in the 90s, when the computers and PCs and Microsoft and everything was brand new, I saw that as a real opportunity. Well, there are not many experts around here. Anybody can be an expert if you can learn. And that's when I started applying myself. And then I was lucky enough to get a job with Duncan Industries in the parking meter industry and become a technology leader because I managed to challenge people. I ran the engineering department for a while, and they said, "Well, you're not an engineer." I said, "No, but that's the good thing, because being an engineer is about making things, and normally the first answer I get is no. But if you can go out and find out what the customer wants, then maybe you can make that, and then we're all better off." And I'm not saying you're not smart, but I'm just saying it may be better applied if we all get a paycheck out of it, you know. So
well, I got to ask a question, because you brought up an interesting little piece, and that's why I love what I do, because nuggets get sprouted.
Yeah.
What happens when somebody says no to Grom Tuxen?
That's just the beginning of a process. It's almost expected, and you can ask my partners around here. They've put up with it for 25 years, but no, you say no. I just dog it. I'm not going to give up. Yeah, it doesn't mean I'm going to run over you or tell you what to do.
Oh, I did a round.
Yeah, get around. Exactly.
Not smashing.
Eventually, I'll get there.
So that doesn't smash your spirit. You just to figure out, okay, now do you try, or is there an attempt to convince people, or do you want to work with a proof? Because I think this is very important psychology.
Yeah.
Is when you get a no, what is your attitude? Is it defiance to prove yourself, to make sure that people understand that you're right, or is it blind passion? Or something else?
Like maybe more like blind passion, and saying, when I hear a no, it's like, well, they're not seeing it from my vantage point. So, I try to, before we start arguing about why no, because that doesn't go anywhere. I'm going, okay, well, let me try to tell you a story. I mean, isn't this what we're trying to do? Isn't it? I ask a lot of questions. I mean, it's because that's the best way, because, again, nobody's going to change unless they really want to change, and you're not going to find common ground unless you look at it from the same perspective. I mean, it's so that's all about where you see it from and what you're seeing. So for me, it's a combination of asking questions and illustrating, saying, here's what I see. What do you think? And then, you may not come to the same vantage point, but you come to some point in the middle where at least a lot more is visible to everybody involved. And then once you get trying with them and it starts becoming a success, then they go, oh, I can trust it. I mean, my goodness, this is really worthwhile. And I think we can use a lot more of that in society these days, where go on an exploring mission together. Give up all your preconceived notions about stuff and explore it for what it is, without having to have a certain outcome or opinion or whatever, but just explore it. I mean, isn't that what learning is all about? So,
Will, and there's that big P word called persuasion. All sorts
Yes.
of scientific breakdown. There's NLP, there's hypnosis. I mean, there's straight bullying somebody to persuade them, to push them to see it the way you see it. I would imagine your demeanor, at least at this age, of we're similar age, you figure a workaround. Now, if you know something is true, how do you convince somebody to see it from your perspective? Now, I could go very extreme, and this could create a lot of furrowed brows if I were to say, I'm a X type of religion, and I don't even want to get into naming it. But if I have a religious view, if we went back 1,200 years, there was belief in, you coming from Denmark. Back then, it was inanimate objects. Today, it's probably more evolved towards Christianity or some other term. But to get into an argument with somebody over religion, it isn't logic based. There isn't any logic to that.
No.
There's pure indoctrinated passion and emotion, and it's very difficult to sway somebody within a religious argument. I would use that as an extreme. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. But I tell you, in that particular instance, for instance, I mean, I grew up in a country where I was a Protestant by default because that's
Sure.
the only religion there was, right? So
Correct.
the minute I was born, I got baptized in church, and that was it. And the church, did all the identity papers and stuff. So I was
Probably
a
Lutheran.
Protestant. Yeah, Lutheran. Yeah. So, from day one, just like that. That's how it worked back then. So we never really got a relationship with religion because that was just an expected. I mean, yeah, I'm a Lutheran, and then we'd be confirmed and, as 14-year-olds, and they say, yeah, that's great. We get some gifts and presents and it's a nice celebration and whatever. But when you meet and work with people, and I happen to be in that situation with people that are very passionate about religion, it's very much, part of the identity here in the Midwest. And you start learning what an uplifting thought that is, and you can see how that helped people move on. It's inspiring. It's helped me, find religion in my own way. I'm not a habitual churchgoer, but I do believe in my own place in the universe, and as with age, we all learn. No, we're not going to change the universe. It's got its own way of going about things. So you learn humility, right? But you learn to accept it, not as though you got browbeat into it or that you have to lay at the feet of something that's greater than you, but that you can accept the fact that you're not all seeing and all being.
Well, and I'm using religion because that seems to be the most divisive, talked about topic anywhere in the world. If you have a different perspective, because it invalidates everything you've been indoctrinated with. If you make an argument for the other religion, let's say competing religion with competing values and competing textbook. Let's just call it a textbook or religion.
Exactly.
Well, it is of sorts, but I'm not disrespecting any religion. They call it the Holy Bible, Holy Quran, or what have you. And there's the Bhagavad Gita, they're Taoist tomes of information, all of that. But they're texts is what I'm saying. It's text-based books. Exactly. That's what I'm referring to. That would be an extreme. That's a difficult argument to get somebody or convincing somebody, persuade them away from that into another religion. How do you? That would be an extreme. Now we're talking about investors. Let's bring it a little more practical. So you want to get somebody to invest money with you. It's a mini Shark Tank. How do you present to get people to see your widget, your concept, so they open their wallet?
I tell you what, for me, it's all about practice. Okay. You don't convince anybody by writing a nice business plan or spending money doing research with a bunch of statistics. You build relationships, and it's about character. And character dictates that if you don't believe in it, if you don't take a risk, then why should other people invest in it? So what I've always done is taken the risk up front, and I'm happy to. And at least if it goes down, then I'm the only one that goes down with the ship. And then it'll get to a certain point where people automatically go, I want to work with you. I think we can do something together. And that makes the whole argument a lot easier than, the other way around where you're out trying to pitch something. It's about exposure and about building relationships and common purpose. I mean, at the end of the day, business is not that complicated. We all try to do something that creates a greater economic value for all parties involved without, getting killed in the process. But how you get there is about looking out for your partners, right? And any business venture has problems, so you are going to be running into problems. Who would you rather have? Somebody you sold an idea that you can't live up to, or somebody who's been around you and have come to their own judgment about who you are, and that we're both okay with it, because every step of the way going forward, that's going to be tested. And if those things are in harmony with each other, it's a lot easier to get out of a tough spot without killing each other than if it's the other way around, because somebody's going to feel like they got cheated. So, I guess that's kind of my perspective on that deal.
And what will people take away reading your book?
Well, I hope what they'll take away is that life is full of challenges, and it's really a question of, do you appreciate that? Do you understand that that's that's just a matter of course, and that's just makes you stronger if you look at it the right way. It's not the end of the world. I can tell you, I've had times where I thought it was the end of the world, and where you thought you'd hit the bottom, but then you bounced off of it one more time just to find out you weren't quite there yet. But I've always gotten back. I've always, looked ahead. One of my ground rules is forget the backpack. You learn nothing from the past. You learn something for the future informed by the past. The lessons that you learned apply differently. But if what you take from the past is what you shouldn't do, then you are on a degrading scale, because you're going to take less and less risk all the time because you're going to afraid to fail again. And we all know those poor people that wind up going, if I'd only done this and I tried this and that didn't work out. Well, okay, then try again. I mean, it's like, what did you learn? It's a progression. Every time you hit the wall, you learn a new lesson. So I think it's a lot about persistence and a lot about perspective. And if you're armed with those two things and you make it a cognizant thing, and of course, the older you are and the more battles you've been in, the easier it is to see nothing really kills you. It doesn't kill you. What you need to be afraid of is what kills your spirit, what makes you not happy. That's what you need to be afraid of. If it
key
starts
distinction,
laborious or a grind, then change, for crying it out loud. It isn't worth it. What are you're going to get an early heart attack, or find some other way out of it. You can bring things to an end as well as circumstances can, but you just need to hold yourself, responsible to your own happiness. And most of that happiness, I think, comes from doing something for other people and building something with others, creating that joy and whatever comes from that.
Well, let's see your book. It's a little bit it's in frame, but why don't you grab it and let's see what we got. So it's The Immigrant Entrepreneurship in America. Grom, what is the subtitle? I can't read it at the bottom, just above your name.
It says Insights from the Journey to Success.
Okay. Well, clearly I love the cover design and the proverbial road, and of course the American flag out in the distance, and then we've got the bestseller badge, which you earned, and it's available on Amazon, I would imagine, and other locations.
Other publishers, it's pretty much available everywhere, but Amazon has it ready to go. And one of the things that we've done is you can learn more about what we do as a company at Tuxen Group. .com. And there's a link there to a little discussion group that I'm trying to put together, where I've had some folks already sign up, and I'm envisioning some discussion from different perspectives about entrepreneurships and looking forward to sharing and learning with others. So,
well, that's great. Grom, thank you so much for your time today. You truly are an embodiment of the American journey and the American dream, and 41 years of marriage, and you still speak about her fondly. That speaks volumes, my friend. And wow. And do you speak English at home or Danish?
Mostly English these days, but I mean, we taught our daughter to speak Danish, and so she speaks Danish pretty well. I mean, she was speaking fluent Danish by the time she was 3. And of course, what that's done is that now when we go, because all of our family's in Denmark, when we go, she can speak Danish with them, and she can engage and move on in the family, relation. And we find that's very important. I mean, it's being an immigrant doesn't mean that you deny your cultural heritage. It means that will always be with you. That's always who you are.
Who you are.
That's right. And that's why this country is so wonderful. We're allowed the space to be that because we are a conglomeration of people from all over the world, right?
So, that's America. Yeah, it is. It's an immigrant culture. So truly. Well, there will be you're American by technical anyway, because your father was born there. So you automatically get the e-ticket to Disneyland, So Boy, I just dated myself saying that. Yeah, that was the high end rides, the e-ticket. Gorm, thank you again so much for your time today. You're an amazing authority, great contribution. You come from the heart, gave valuable insights, and I'd love to have you back again in the future.
Love to come back, Mitch. Thanks for having me. It's been an honor, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to MitchCarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.